मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, government MPs issued with ultimatum. Girmit is remembered for contribution to Fiji. And Australia injects millions for Fiji's COVID fight.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
All government members of Parliament have been given time until tomorrow to submit documents in relation to claims of any travel and accommodation allowances. This following allegations of possible breaches of travel and accommodation allowances involving certain members of Parliament. It is believed at least one government MP and some opposition members have been allegedly claiming travel and accommodation allowances despite not being eligible. Pranita Prakash reports.
Complaint has been lodged with the Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption in relation to the allegation of possible breaches of travel and accommodation allowances.
This morning we've asked all our MPs who have claimed any travel accommodation allowances and who have said that they live outside the 30-kilometre zone. We've asked them to provide all the documents to us by tomorrow morning. And of course we want to carry out our own assessment.
The Fiji First General Secretary says any breaches will be dealt with seriously.
The claims, as you would know, are made individually by the MPs. They're not made by the party per se. But we obviously are very concerned. So should any of the MPs of Fiji First have done anything untoward or against the conditions and guidelines that have been set out in the Remunerations Act, then obviously that will be taken very seriously by the party itself.
Parliament Secretary General Vinyana Namosi Malua says she will not make any comment in relation to the alleged possible breaches. The Parliament Secretariat has issued a statement saying that the role of the Secretary General is to ensure the efficient and effective management of Parliament. The Parliament Secretariat says the matter is with FICAC and the office will not make further comment on the matter. The Fiji Independent Commission Against Corruption confirms a complaint has been received. FICAC says no other information will be divulged at this point in time. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Today, 141 years ago, the first Indians set on a journey in hopes for a better future. The Girmitiers, or the indentured labourers, came to Fiji without knowing what awaited them. Their hard work and toil has never been forgotten. Faria Begum with the story.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama, in his message to the Girmit Remembrance Day, says it's important for us to pause and think about the grueling trials the Girmitiers endured and also to recognize the sense of hope that got them through their suffering.
None of them truly knew what they were in for. A journey of thousands of kilometers in slave-like, inhumane conditions, and all too often, no way to return back to the communities they left, hoping for a better life. And though they toiled under the crack of the whip, and they were often beaten and sexually abused, they never gave up that hope.
He has also given an assignment to students all over the country who are at home.
There is far too much history in the Girmitiers' journey to cover in just a few minutes. So I encourage you all to do some research on your own. Visit the Fijian government's website and Facebook page to read about the heart-wrenching yet inspiring stories of those first indentured servants. Ask your parents or your grandparents about stories they heard from their family and neighbors.
National Federation Party leader Biman Prasad says the struggles of the indentured labourers is a lesson for the current generation.
We reflect on those struggles and this is going to be an indelible part of our history for generations to come. However, I also call upon our younger generation to read the history, reflect on the struggles that our people, their forefathers, undertook and had in this country.
And in acknowledgement, particularly to the people of Nodo, and later on by the Vanua of Rewa and Burmasang and many others, have now taken into their fold the descendants of the Girmitier and recognized them.
In spite of having a life of struggle and pain of separation, sufferings, etc., they valued many other things which contributed in the development and progress of Fiji.
It is said that 60,965 laborers from India made their way to Fiji, something that the current generation might not be aware of. But if it had not been for these workers, Fiji would have been way different. Faria Begum, FBC News.
And sadly, today also marks the 33rd anniversary of the first ever coup that took place in Fiji. May 14th, 1987, the day that the then military commander Sitiveni Rambuka overthrew the late Timothy Mbavandra's government, citing at the time that it was to curb the potential threat from the Indo-Fijian community in taking over political power. The events of that dreadful year remains forever entrenched in the mindsets of many, with Fiji suffering a massive brain drain and leaving the much desired question of what the country would have been like had the coup not happened. Koroi Tandulala reports.
These scenes of 1987, while foreign to many, still lingers in the minds of people of this country. Fiji, the way the world should be, changed to a coup nation in 1987, something that punished our economic progress and the event that has left us reeling economically 33 years later.
People would have remained here permanently and we would have got all these brains that we see, our own local brains, they're doing so well. They're in executive positions, middle to high management positions, executive positions overseas. They would have been here.
Fiji had a bubbling economy and heading into a direction that would have put us in the same stead as some of the biggest nations in this day and age. However, the Fijian economy is said to have contracted by almost 8%, something we really never recovered from.
International investment, foreign direct investment, all sort of, affected very, very badly, and till today, mind you. But that thing is lingering, still there.
In 1986, Fiji was very good in terms of all the indicators. We were better than Mauritius. Obviously, the 87 coup was a huge setback.
One of the person who is well aware of the atrocities of 1987 is Tupon Raunindalo, who is the stepdaughter of the late Timothy Mbavandra. She says it affected her family like many other Fijian families. Displacement to another part of the country, then to another country for a few years. Some of her siblings have stayed on overseas until this day and age and are very happy there. Raunindalo goes on to say it destroyed lives, ordinary people who had to flee their homes, ordinary people who lost their income, lost their families, with a mass brain drain, and it destroyed race relations, the people and the relationships being our biggest national asset. FBC News got in touch with Sitiveni Rambuka, who was not willing to come on camera, saying too many people were hurt by his actions and he does not want to reopen the wounds of that year. Koroi Tandulala, FBC News.
Fiji today signed a direct grant agreement with the Australian government for $17 million. The assistance will be used to bolster Fiji's COVID-19 response, and the Australian High Commissioner says the grant reflects their complete confidence in the Fijian system. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
In times of trouble, Australia has been one of the first countries to assist Fiji, and this pandemic is no different.
$2.9 million Australian is actually going towards specifically to the Ministry of Health and Medical Services. $200,000 is going specifically for the National Disaster Management Office. The remaining of the $8.1 million is a general support for COVID-19.
This is a reflection of our complete confidence in Fijian systems and in particular in the Ministry of the Economy. And that's something that this government should be very proud of.
The Australian $12.2 million is expected to significantly prop up those at the front line of the coronavirus fight.
To date, Australia's broader support for the Ministry of Health and Medical Services COVID-19 efforts has been through the procurement of personal protective equipment, medical and lab consumables, flu vaccines, and support for public health messages.
Meanwhile, discussions of including Fiji in the Trans-Tasman bubble remain ongoing.
The Attorney General and I, along with my New Zealand counterpart, Jonathan Kerr, have already had lengthy discussions on how we can get Australian and New Zealand tourists back into this wonderful country.
The $17 million in direct aid from the Australian government is expected to boost Fiji's fight against COVID-19. Other than the Ministry of Health being prioritised, there's also an allocation for the National Disaster Management Office, in addition to the private sector. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The continuing confusion and confrontation in Sodelpa is now well and truly out of control, with party stalwart and senior member Andiliti Ngionimbarravi adding yet more chaos to an already volatile situation, claiming injustices against her by the party working committee. Following her sudden ousting as party GS by the working committee, headed by the new acting party president Vijay Singh, the conflict within has now reached unprecedented levels, with Andiliti now threatening possible legal action against the working committee, which includes acting party leader Sitiveni Rambuka.
The start of yet another faction within Sodelpa could be on the cards, with former General Secretary Andiliti Ngionimbarravi not happy with how she was treated. After a rival faction recently took Sodelpa to court, there are now threats, more legal wrangles for the party. Andiliti claims she was never officially informed by the acting party president Vijay Singh of the decision of the working committee, who has purportedly suspended her from the position of General Secretary. She says the party constitution gives only the management board the authority over disciplinary matters and not Singh or anyone else. Party leader Sitiveni Rambuka, in responding to claims by Ngionimbarravi, says the constitution does allow the working committee to make some reshuffle pending investigation.
The working committee does not have the power to appoint, but it can facilitate the furtherance of the work to try and answer the grievances brought up by the branches. So the meeting yesterday, by majority vote, resolved that the Honorable Andiliti stands aside as, from her position as General Secretary, but according to the party records, she is still the registered officer of the party.
Rambuka says Pio Tambaiwalu, the former General Secretary, will work with Sodelpa's former party treasurer Rudy Karuru to try and answer the grievances from different factions before it is tabled to the board management.
Hopefully we can get the findings for the management board next week, or we could have a special management board meeting to handle that. It is an internal disciplinary issue.
Yet another bout of infighting within Sodelpa, which has been rattled by its own members since the 2014 general election. This latest fallout could see the party once again in court. Concerns are already being raised by its members as to what actually is happening with the party and its hierarchy. Apinisa Wagarndobu, FBC News.
Up ahead, foreign remittances to stimulate economy. And dishonest agents remain a worry for Realby.
Nadang bawa prosesan kerja, gua keraki, do televisi na barong na Radio Fiji One, nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji One, nandomo ibiti.
In a period where the economy is facing a downturn, personal remittances can contribute towards revenue growth. Vodafone Fiji today announced that they will offer free remittances into the country through its M-Pesa platform for the next 2 months. Venena Rakautonga with the story.
In a time when our tourism industry has grinded to a halt, other avenues are being looked at to bring in foreign exchange.
Our second largest foreign exchange earner is personal remittances. Last year we got slightly below $600 million in foreign exchange from personal remittances. 85% of these remittances is in the form of gifts and maintenance, and the amounts are relatively small.
Reserve Bank Governor has applauded Vodafone Fiji for its initiative.
Here we have Vodafone and PF, with the support of PFIP, putting out an initiative whereby they're not getting any income.
Vodafone Fiji head of e-commerce Shailendra Prasad says all fees for both domestic and international remittances made using the M-Pesa payment platform will be waived.
We realize what it means for many families to receive financial assistance as they struggle to make ends meet. It's a question of survival for many. Therefore, we are most humbled to offer this fee-free money transfer service so that those living abroad who may wish to provide financial lifeline to their families in Fiji can do so at no extra cost.
International money transfer to Fiji M-Pesa has increased from $2 million in February to $4.5 million as of last month, and this is set to escalate through the year with more transactions expected. Venina Rakotonga, FBC News.
The Real Estate Agents Licensing Board continues to face challenges in tracking the records of its registered agents and the transactions conducted by them. Board Chair Dr. Abdul Hassan says in some instances, agents have deposited money received from their clients directly into their accounts. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Real B sector continues to be plagued with many challenges.
Agents are holding the money not in the trust account but in the personal accounts, and there has been the properties are not advertised correctly.
It's got to be audited, and the audited report goes to audited accounts, goes to Real B. That's in the Act.
The Real B has also provided clarification where concerns were being raised on the rights given to the agents. More than one agent was seen advertising the same property in their listing.
One is an exclusive agency, which is sole rights to sell, where only one agent sells the property. And the other type of agency is a general agency.
The Real B says they have also received complaints regarding commission being charged without any explanation given to the property owners. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Dudley High School in Suva has introduced online lessons to ensure students make up for the lost time due to the COVID-19 restriction. The online lessons were rolled out on Monday following the Ministry of Education's call for distance learning. The program, which is available on the school's Facebook page, is targeted at Year 12 and 13 students. Principal Sanjay Prasad says they are pleased to embark on a new learning platform as they aim to assist students during these difficult times. The program will continue until May 29th. Turning overseas, the US is reporting more cases of a rare but now deadly syndrome in children, which many doctors believe is linked to COVID-19. 13 states are now affected, the majority in America's coronavirus epicenter, New York. And Karoy joins you now with business.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up, Riketi market vendors share hardships. And over 3,000 sign up for business survey. Stay with us.
My name is Neha and I'm from Karavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Market vendors in Riketi, Madhwata are struggling to make ends meet. The COVID-19 outbreak and restrictions has cut off vendors from their usual customers, hence they are unable to earn a decent income. Eleanor Turangaivi reports.
The small commercial centre at Riketi in Madhwata is the main stopover for those travelling along the Riketi-Nambowalu highway. Everyday vendors from the nearby settlements and villages bring cooked food and fresh produce to sell to travellers. We come really early because the Patterson shipping bus goes early to Nambowalu, and they stop here to buy packed fish parcels and juice. There's also fruits and vegetables that we sell. However, since the COVID-19 outbreak and movement restrictions, sales have been at an all-time low for the vendors. Sales has been tight for us. Most times we take our produce back home because no one is buying. Some of the produce we can keep overnight and sell it again the next day. It's been really difficult. With the decreased number of customers also comes the decreased number of vendors. When FBC News visited Riketi today, there were only about 10 vendors at the market.
In a day, I can sell 15 fish puzzles at $6 each, and it goes with the juice. Sometimes I have to go home and make some more puzzles because of the demand. Nowadays, we can only manage to sell 4 puzzles, 5 if we are lucky enough.
The situation in Riketi is mirrored all throughout the main market centers in Vonolebo, a situation everyone hopes will recover soon. Eleanor Turangaibiu, FBC News.
More than 3,000 submissions have been received for the survey to assess the impact of COVID-19 on businesses. The Ministry of Commerce and Trade has over the last 2 weeks carried out the survey countrywide with the International Financial Corporation. The survey was extended into a third week given the response and the wide-reaching economic impacts of the global pandemic. Permanent Secretary Shaheen Ali says the survey will articulate the real actual economic impact as well as guide a more targeted government assistance.
We have been listening to our small businesses and directing them to where assistance has been available. There's a whole spate of assistance that has been announced by the response budget. And we also feel that this will continue in the upcoming budget.
Australia officials have denied a Chinese ban on importing meat from 4 Chinese abattoirs that is connected to Australia's push for a COVID-19 probe. China has also threatened to slap a tariff on barley imports as tensions between Canberra and Beijing rises. Gary from HFC Bank joins us now with the latest from the money world.
The US dollar attracted safe haven interest today as investors shared riskier assets. This followed Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, who yesterday stated an extended period of weak growth may be in store for the US, while also rejecting the idea of using negative interest rates as a stimulative tool. Meanwhile, producer prices fell 1.3% in April, the biggest decline since the end of 2009. This will bolster expectations for a brief period of deflation as the coronavirus pandemic depresses demand. Closer to home, the Aussie dollar weakened after employment change for April came in worse than forecast, with over 594,000 jobs slashed. This is a result of the Australian government restrictions to stem the spread of the coronavirus, forcing the shutdown of many industries across the economy. Unemployment rose to 6.2%, while the participation rate decreased to 63.5%. Across Tasman, the New Zealand government, in its budget announcement today, will establish a $50 billion COVID-19 response and recovery fund, which will target stimulus investment to save and create more jobs and return its unemployment rate to 4.2% within the next 2 years. And that's a wrap from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Turning to today's exchange rates as set this morning, the Fijian dollar on a super decline today, only gaining against the New Zealand dollar. We were down against every other major currency we deal with. Now on to the commodities market. Crude oil declined, ending the day at $25.32. Gold rose today, settling in at $1,702 per ounce, while silver dropped to $15.45 per ounce. And that's it from Business Tonight. Jamie joins you next with sports.
Thanks, Koroi, and good evening. Coming up, school sporting events likely to be affected. And VPL possibly to be played in empty stadiums. This and more in sports after the break.
Bola, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
With the uncertainty surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, many school sporting competitions may not happen this year. Students have been on a break for over 7 weeks, and should classes resume as planned next month, the Ministry of Education will realign its calendar to ensure that all curriculum is covered. Caroline Tavi with the details.
Some extracurricular activities will need to be sacrificed once schools resume.
We will already be in the month of June when we are expected to resume school. So at this point in time, I would say that we will have to forego a lot of extracurricular activities, and that will include sports.
The Fiji Rugby Union and Fiji Secondary Schools Rugby Union officials will meet with the ministry soon.
We're having discussions with the Ministry of, with the executives of the secondary school, and the next step is to have discussions with the Ministry of Education. We will just align ourselves to the priorities set by government and set by the Ministry of Education.
Organizers will need prior approval from the Education Ministry for any sporting activities.
Should they put forward a proposal, then obviously we will have to look at the situation at that particular time, okay, to see whether we should go ahead or whether we should concentrate on getting our students through this year academically.
Some of the much anticipated schools competitions that are likely to be affected includes the Dean's competition, the Fiji Secondary Schools Rugby League competition, the Vodafone Kachi Rugby, the Chow Games and the Fiji Secondary Schools Hockey competitions. Karleni Tavi, FBC Sports.
The Warriors are expected to confirm Cronulla Sharks prop Toby Rudolph will join them next season, while more immediately winger David Fusitua should be ready for their third match back after the season restart. The centre is isolating away from the team's Tamworth base after arriving in Australia late. The Vodafone Premier League may be held behind closed doors for the first time when the competition resumes. However, Fiji Football Association Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says the final decision will depend on government advisories. Tali Materakula with the story.
The likely scenario on how competition will resume will depend on the easing of restrictions.
As soon as the regulations on sporting activity is lifted and they do not allow people to gather in, then the Fiji FA board will look at possibility of kicking off the competition without the spectators.
District coaches are also supporting the idea of resuming the league without spectators.
Fully support the motion and the idea. Because at the moment, to transition back into a normal football competition, safety is paramount, and we don't want to be responsible for another stop of our daily life because of negligence.
It's good because still we cannot take any risk, because if spectators will come, then there's a risk of the virus going ahead.
I don't think so. That will be any problem. That's how we can complete our league for this season.
Once the final scenario on how games will resume is finalized, district clubs will be given 3 weeks to prepare the teams for the competition. Talima Tirkula, FBC Sports.
Plans around vigorous testing for COVID-19 have been sent to Premier League football players ahead of a return to training as early as next week. It's not just for the virus, but also checking any underlying heart or lung problems. That's your Thursday night sports. Coming up in Weird and the Wonderful, meet the surgeon who can make you taller. Find out more after the break.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
And we join Angie now with all the latest in weather.
Hello to our wonderful Thursday. It's been an amazing journey so far. The weather has been very jolly. There is very little to complain about. There will be some outbreaks of rain, mostly in northern areas, but generally the story is of dry weather remaining. How cool is that? The weekend is like this close. And before I get all excited and literally start having my own little party here, let's see the other centers. In the west, it had few weak clouds, but overall the conditions were quite settled with steady temperatures, not ready to welcome showers anytime soon. Eastwards from Pack Harbour to Suva, it mostly stayed cloudy and overcast. There is high chance of showers tonight. Drive safe. And up north, drizzle and low cloud lift with probable chance of showers. This will clear up in no time. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate seas. Turning to the tides, high tide at 1:12 a.m. with low tide at 7:10 a.m. Sunrise at 5:42. For tomorrow, here we go on to our special day. Great weather for an extra special day. Excited! Tomorrow's temps, Lambasa will turn up to 32 degrees. It might rise to 33 or 34 degrees. It's a Friday heat. And looking further on to Saturday, more sunny spells headed our way. That is all from my end. It's back to Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fiji Pulse tonight, we ask, how are you finding homeschooling your children?
I find it very challenging, but at the same time it's very interesting because I spend most of the time with my kids, because hardly when they go to school I hardly spend most of the time with them because I'm also working. So they're staying at home. It's experience because I spend a lot of time with them.
Most of the nephews, what they do, they have a schedule their day's work. They help in gardening. They also do the study work. The parents helping them for study. And in the afternoon they do the sports activities and all those, so they're helping. So it's quite good for them.
And I was lucky because the teachers, they provide papers for them, English, maths, Fijian. That's helped me a lot.
It's been so difficult for me because, you know, we're staying in the, I'm in the village, eh? It's, the kids, they spend a lot of time playing.
Recapping the main stories for tonight, government MPs issued with ultimatum. Girmit is remembered for contribution to Fiji, and Australia injects millions for Fiji's COVID fight. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question we're asking, should a banking ombudsman be appointed to oversee bank services in Fiji? Visit our FBC website to answer. And our shot of the day, absolutely gorgeous one, was captured on the beautiful island of Kia Madhuwata by Suliano Randovitana. And show us what you've been up to during the lockdown and movement restrictions. Email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj. Share it with us on our FBC News Facebook page and Twitter at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, from the team and I, stay safe. Good night.
I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.